Good morning. This is Rebecca. I am popping on here this morning to talk with you about recharging by recharging your mind. I want to share with you a story first to start. I was talking with a sweet lady yesterday and she said, I can't control anything and I just feel useless. And I think those are common feelings for right now. Those are common thoughts for right now. You know, we're kind of in this phase of feeling like what can we do? What should we be doing? And there's a lot of emotions with that. And we're having what I and other professionals refer to as a monkey mind. Have you ever heard that term before? A monkey mind is where we have these thoughts, these negative thoughts. Some of them are about our decisions. Some of them are about how we view ourselves. Some of them are our concerns, the things that we can't control or can control. A lot of these negative things swirl around in our mind, and they're kind of like little monkeys bouncing back and forth between trees in a wild way. And they don't make us feel better, and they don't help us with decision making. They just are chaotic thoughts that are happening in our minds. So it's important to recognize that monkey mind and to reach for something different. You know, when it comes to this time, we need to make good decisions. We need clarity of thought, and we need to feel good about the things that are going on. And so part of doing that is to recognize those monkey mind thoughts and to do something different. You know, part of the problem with the monkey mind is that it becomes a part of our identity. We start to believe those things, and there might be some truth in them, but they're also oftentimes ends up being something that's been blown up. And so the things that maybe started off in a little bit of truth get blown up to things that are highly untruthful. And so when that happens, we need to really focus on calling that out, on finding ways to, because when we live in that untruth, then we start to believe it, and we start to adapt that as part of our identity. And that's not healthy for us. That's not a good way to go. And that's definitely not helping us to make good decisions during this time either. So two things. When we have those monkeys going around in our mind and we're really struggling with that, there's two things that we need to do. We need to, first of all, respond. You know, instead of just kind of letting it go to the background or hoping that it goes away, we need to actually be proactive and respond to those thoughts that come up. So one of the ways that we can respond is just by asking, is this true? Is this helpful for me to think this? Is this what I need to be focusing on right now? The second thing we need to do is to focus on filling our mind with things that are helpful, that are edifying, that provide us with the things that we need, that help us to make those good decisions right now. You know, it's important to, as we recognize, as we do that, to feel like we have some concrete ways that we can act in that situation. So taking those monkey mind thoughts, reacting, acting towards them, and then changing them around, changing to positive thoughts. Here are some ways to do that. So first of all, when that happens, when we notice that monkey mind thinking, it's important as soon as possible to speak that out, write it out, or pray it out. So it's important that we actually bring that to the forefront. What happens when we bring that to the forefront and we speak it, we write it, or we pray it, we're recognizing that this is not true. We're able to see more clearly what's true and what's not true. The second thing is that we're able to just diminish the power of it by the pure speaking it out, by bringing it out in the open. The power of that untruth becomes less strong. The next thing we need to do is replace it. So recognizing that within that scenario, within those monkey mind thoughts, we need something to fill our mind with that's going to edify us, that's going to help us make good decisions, that's going to help us feel better within that. So some different ways to take those monkey mind, untruthful thoughts and replace them with something that is helpful, is edifying, is going to help us move forward in a productive way. Some of those things are recognizing 3 things that we're grateful for, taking the untruth and speaking the truth against it. So in the case of I don't have control over anything, recognizing how that's not true. I do have control. I can do these things. This is what I can take initiative in, the way that I have control. Another thing is to use positive affirmations. And those affirmations can be positive truths about ourselves, things that we want to make sure that we're living into. They can be Bible verses and how the Bible talks about us being as people. And they can be things that are helpful quotes, helpful things that we've seen before, inspirational readings that have helped us. This is what we know about affirmations. When we take those positive things, they become a part of our identity. They become a part of who we are. Because those monkey mind thoughts, those negative thoughts, the more we play them in our head, the more that pathway is built in our brain, and the more we automatically go to that pathway. But when we say, this isn't truthful, I am going to replace that untruth with something truthful, with something that's positive and edifying. When we take that step, then we're able to start building that new pathway. So when we start replacing those monkey mind thoughts with things that are helpful, with things that are true, then we are able to start taking that step towards rebuilding a pathway that our mind can go automatically to, that we want it to go automatically to. And we can start feeling better and making better decisions. But this is what we also know, that it takes time and it takes consistency. So just telling yourself one time, just reading those affirmations or calling out the untruth one time, it's probably not going to be enough. So it's important when we see that happening to regularly call it out, to replace it with what's true, and to spend time on the truth. And even if you're not having as much of those monkey mind thoughts, it's still important to be thinking about those truthful affirmations, gratitudes each day. Because we know that being consistent with it is part of what's important for reaching out of the monkey mind into a truthful, edifying way of thinking. When we are consistent over 45 days, we know that path gets rebuilt in our mind, and the path in our mind, the automatic way we think tends to be those positive, helpful, truthful thoughts versus the negative thoughts. It doesn't mean we won't ever have struggles with negative thoughts or with the monkey mind, but we are doing the work to rebuild those negative things that we are thinking about, and instead think through the positive and the truthful things in our mind. So that's what I want to encourage you in today. So often I feel like, and I've heard from other people too, it feels like we can't control those thoughts, those negative thoughts that come up, those things that take us down a dark path. But we can. We have the ability. Like I've said before, we've made so coolly complicated, but we have the ability to take those negative things, to speak them out, to replace them with something that's positive, and to live in that truth versus abiding in the things that are untruthful and unhelpful in our minds. All right. I would encourage you, if you haven't already, to read the newsletter that I sent to you this morning. And it also has some links for some positive affirmations, some Bible verse affirmations that are available online. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email or comment below. Take care, my friends.